Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. We're talking Thanksgiving, but we're not going to tell you how to carve a turkey. Andy's got the rundown.
While Thanksgiving is universally celebrated across the United States now, that wasn't always the case. We talked to Guy Rocha, state archivist, and find out when Thanksgiving was controversial. Sam?
And coming up on the pundit panel, Paul Enos, Bob Crowell, and John Gwaltney. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Catch a straight, dine at 8. Lucky you. Lucky you. Dance till 1. Have some fun. Lucky you. Lucky you. Taste the shrimp. Have a sip. Try the pool. Play it cool. At the Sienna Hotel Spa Casino. Lucky you.
The biggest risk your company can take.
Well, Barbara, you did very well on your interview.
Hiring employees can help your business get to the next level.
And your resume looks outstanding.
And it can also expose you to corporate crimes and costly lawsuits that can bring your company to its knees.
So, we'd like to offer you a position.
Before you hire another employee, hire the professionals at Employer Links. Call today to get our free CD-ROM, The Top 8 Risk of Hiring Employees.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. Stand by for a vicious interview with state archivist Guy Rocha. And I'm kidding, of course.
Yeah, right. Listen, Thanksgiving is so accepted across the United States now, and everybody celebrates it, but it wasn't always that way. And we talk about the first Thanksgiving being in Massachusetts, but then it wasn't a tradition in America until when?
Well, yeah, tradition as far as officially 1863. It took President Abraham Lincoln being lobbied by Sarah Hale, who essentially said it should be an official holiday, people should take the time off, and it should be celebrated. But it was right in the midst of the Civil War. It was controversial.
So essentially the South didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, only the North did.
Yes, as each state was adopting Thanksgiving as a holiday on a state-by-state basis, the only state that had adopted it south of the Mason-Dixon line was Virginia. This was a northern celebration, essentially.
So when he declares Thanksgiving a national Thanksgiving, it's really a Union stand against the Confederacy.
All you have to do is read the proclamations of both President Lincoln and our territorial governor James Nye, and it's clearly a condemnation. While we're thankful for our condition, it's the Union, and of course the insurgents are condemned for what they do, and that's part of that Thanksgiving proclamation. So it's the federal government imposing an official holiday, and these states' right as states being condemned for seceding from the Union.
That's quite fascinating.
Isn't that
now, how do people respond in the South? I've never been in the South during Thanksgiving.
Well, I think that's a fair question, and I don't know how they respond, but it wasn't really much of their tradition. Jamestown had done something in 1619, but it wasn't our Massachusetts Bay tradition that we celebrate. So it's really, for that region, it is not embraced in the way that it is in the North and the West, And then fundamentally, if you read these early proclamations, it's a condemnation of the Confederacy.
But now it's celebrated in the South.
Oh, certainly.
But what's also interesting is that Thanksgiving came about during a time of war.
That's right.
And we are essentially in a war right now.
140 years later, yes.
And there was something that Lincoln said in his proclamation. I don't know if you remember that offhand, Guy.
I do. He was telling people, not only in the nation at that time being the Union, but people who were in foreign lands and even at sea to celebrate Thanksgiving. Much as the way that we're going to be celebrating this Thanksgiving, we have a number of Americans who are not on our native soil. They're in other places, far-flung wars.
Fascinating. I want to change the subject on you a little bit.
Okay.
We've got a lot of scandals swirling around down in southern Nevada, around Assemblyman Wendell Williams, around the Community College of Southern Nevada. The Board of Regents now embroiled in this. Is this something that newcomers to the state should be thinking is unusual, or is this, just business as usual?
Well, I say somewhere in between. We certainly, like many states, have our history of scandal. I don't think we have a corner in the market. Louisiana has an interesting history. Illinois, I could go on.
Former governor in jail, Louisiana.
So, to pick on Nevada specifically, but to say that Nevada hasn't had corruption, Nevada's had its fair share of corruption. Going back to the first state treasurer, Eben Rhodes, who had essentially been stealing money. They found out after he had died, when he died in San Francisco, that our state school fund had been essentially eliminated by his expenditures. Presumably he had a cocaine habit, according to some reports, very early on, 1869. We had a state treasurer and state controller did 4 years in the state prison for combining in an embezzlement scheme. They were caught in 1927 and served time until 1931. We have other examples. Probably the most high profile in the modern era is Operation Yobo.
Right. That
brought down Senator Floyd Lamb, who was tremendous in the leadership position there, a long-time family, a number of Lambs in southern Nevada, another state senator, Eccles, 2 Clark County commissioners, and a Reno city councilman. What's happening down south right now is percolating, and every day I read the papers, it seems to getting bigger and bigger. I would argue in terms of federal intervention, Operation Yobo is #1, but before this is all over, we'll see.
I don't know. I think so much of this is just a case of people who've done business this way for so many years, and all of a sudden they realize the public isn't going to put up with it. I mean, it used to be with sort of a wink and a nod, and now people are saying, no, we don't want this anymore.
Well, I'm not sure.
I would kind of disagree with you. I think in one case you've got somebody who's very angry and they're lobbing grenades as hard and as fast as they can.
Talking about
Absolutely.
Wendell Williams, who said that if he goes down, he's taking everybody with him.
Right, and you have a situation with the county commission where the FBI launched an investigation that's been ongoing for 1.5 years, and they've turned up all kinds of corruption, and they don't think they're done yet, or at least that's the word that we're receiving.
Well,
but the question is, did those people think it was corruption, or did they just think it was business as usual?
Well, Al Capone never thought he was a criminal.
Well, and it's interesting looking at many of these people. They're people who moved to Nevada. They weren't raised here. I mean, just want to point that out.
Right. Aaron Kenny's from Chicago.
Thank you. Taking a long history of corruption in any given place. But I'm just saying, these are people not necessarily native to the state. They've come here like so many people have.
Guy, if you're talking about people who are native to the state, that's like 16 people and their families. This was not a very populated place.
It's about
50 years ago.
It's about 20% of the state's population
right.
are native born. But what's interesting is, my understanding, there's a grand jury investigation right now ongoing dealing with builders and contractors and some other issues. The point is, I think there's more to come, that we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And this may reach the magnitude where it'll exceed, I think, the profile of Operation Yobo, which 20 years ago was capturing all our attention.
And you will be the one that will be telling us all the details on it. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Welcome to Sushi Club, best sushi in town. The Sushi Club in Independence Square used the best quality products. The sushi is dynamite, and the service is just wonderful.
The Sushi Club is bigger and better. We have 11 sushi chefs on staff, and the service is great.
All your friends will tell you that Sushi Club is the best place for the best sushi.
Come join us for lunch or dinner.
The Sushi Club, 294 East Moana Lane in the Independence Square.
Now that's great sushi.
To experience the royal cuisine of India, you need some serious magic or simply transport yourself to India Garden, right here in Reno, where you'll discover Indian specialties refined over centuries. Sikh kebab, tandoori dishes cooked in our own tandoor oven, biryani specialties, curries, fresh-baked Indian bread, over a dozen vegetarian dishes, even dishes rare to India like dosa, South Indian-style crepes. India Garden off South Virginia near Sports West. We are India.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers with our pre-Thanksgiving show here. You're listening to it on KOH, our post-Thanksgiving show. And we welcome our panelists, Paul Enos with the Nevada Retail Association, John Gwaltney with the School Board, and Bob Crowell also with Carson City School Board. Welcome to all of you.
Good morning or good afternoon.
Well, we'll pick up where we had talked a couple of days ago, that the Board of Regents held a personnel session. Being closed is legal, but you usually have the people in there that you're talking about. What happened in this case was that they kicked everybody out of the room except for Jane Nichols, the Chancellor, who's not a member of the Board of Regents, by the way, and she really had no business being in there unless they were talking about her. And then they came out after 2 days of closed session, and they fired Ron Remington, who's president of Southern Nevada Community College, and John Cummings, who was his assistant. They also tried to fire Chris June Giuliani, who works for Southern Nevada Community College, and brought a bill during the last session to get rid of this Board of Regents and have them appointed by the president. How much do you think that played into all of this?
Well, I have no idea that you can calculate that issue as to how serious it played, but I know that a number of regents were concerned about it. The State Board has been up for consideration by the legislature, and it carries a pretty heavy burden on you. It begins to play pretty heavily as to whether your board's going to be abolished, changed, or that type of thing.
Well, I guess the other thing what it does, though, is, I mean, you know, we've talked a lot on this pundit panel whether or not public employees should be serving the legislature. I guess this is, you know, often you hear the other side that says, hey, they're there to cut an axe for the government that they serve. Here, apparently, June Giuliani wrote a bill or presented a bill that the government didn't like, and so they're going to fire her for participating. You know, somewhere there's got to be some balance in this world.
Well, you know, and that's a good point.
And I think that board needs balance more than anybody right now. Apparently they have Jane Nichols, who is on one side and who's been, it's been alleged that she has been assisting Wendell Williams to keep his friend employed by the community college system, where you have the gentleman who's fired, John Cummings, initiating the proceedings to get her fired.
Absolutely. It's something, there's a real travesty going on, and maybe it's just from what you read, but you know, Wendell Williams the other day was reported in the press as saying that he got a pay raise for serving in the legislature. I mean, if that happened to anybody else, that's the B word. That's bribery.
Well, they actually changed his job description because he couldn't get a pay raise in the position he was in, so they actually had to give him a new job so that he would actually qualify for more money.
Right, and he said in that, he made the allegation that the city actually gave him a specific bill that they wanted him to do certain things on and to work on and to get it through. That's totally contrary to state law.
You know, I've said a couple of times on this panel previously that part of my fear is that we're going to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. The ethics issues here are substantial ethics issues that need to be addressed in law, and the Ethics Commission needs to look at these issues carefully, because it really doesn't matter who behaves that way, whether it's a public employee or a bank employee who delivers on request. That is an ethical issue, I think, and it needs to be treated such. that type of behavior needs to be looked at very carefully.
Well, I think also it's interesting to note that in the 7-6 vote here to fire these 2 long-term employees, and Ron Remington especially, who I guess is over a 30-year employee, has worked at every community college in the state and has excellent reviews on his work. But a bulk of the 7 that voted to have him fired were new members of the boards of region.
We went to 13, unlucky number.
One of the things that I would hope would come out of this, and I've heard a rumor this may actually materialize, the system has, how should I tactfully say this, been able to grind up an awful lot of careers over a long period of time. It seems like it just doesn't function correctly sometimes. And with that in mind, if the Board of Regents will look at how to better protect its leadership, not to hide anything, but to guide its leadership and keep from getting into these positions, the board might look better, and so might the leadership of
the way to
the system.
The way to do that is to have an open meeting.
Well, that may be correct.
But their claim is that these were personnel issues.
Well, if it's a personnel issue, why do you have the chancellor in there who's being charged with being one of the people who is involved in keeping Wendell Williams' friend in there?
You know, if they're going to talk about her, it's appropriate that she be in there. But they talked about people that were never notified about this meeting, including John Cummings' secretary. They talked about her for about a half an hour, I understand. There's all sorts of leaks coming out from this closed meeting. And clearly, Bob, I think I sent you an email. It's a misdemeanor for violation of the open meeting law, particularly repeated violation. What's the penalty for a misdemeanor?
Misdemeanor is 6 months in jail or $1,000, and a gross it's a year in jail or $2,000. Everything above that's a felony, but for a misdemeanor, 6 months and $1,000.
Okay. So if you have repeated misdemeanors, if
you have repeated misdemeanors, it's 6 months or $1,000 for each one. And I guess if you continue to do it, I guess I don't know I haven't read the law, but you could have it a gross misdemeanor.
Let me just grab the last 30 seconds here. The bottom line here is that Wendell Williams is mad at the university system, and this chain of events has all come out of his involvement with this young woman, and whether it's professional or personal, I have no idea. But he also is being threatened with being fired from his city job as well, and he is now threatening to reveal all kinds of things about how things work at the city as well. So, at this point, where does it end with Wendell Williams?
And it isn't just that, it's also the fact that we've had this Bridget Jones lied on her resume. We've had a major employee at the medical school lied on her resume, and in both cases, the chancellor's now saying, no problem. So I guess, folks, it's okay to lie on your resume.
Scared of lawsuits. We got to take a break. We'll be right back with these guys after this.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
The Aboud family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Your home is an expression of all things comforting and familiar. For custom storage, you can count on California Closets to provide quality, value, and design integrity. The process is easy, combining your personal style with our organizing expertise. We care about what matters most to you, making your home functional and beautiful. California Closets, simplifying home and life since 1978. Call today for your complimentary design consultation.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, just one last note on this. The Chancellor will be here on the program on December 18th.
Yes, and let's make it very clear that the people who were fired never had a chance to answer the charges or defend themselves.
Okay, let's change topics here. Governor Schwarzenegger, he was against Indian gaming when he was running for election. Now he's saying that he'd like to see a compact made with the tribes in California where they would pay a rate of 25% in terms of tax. We have, what, 6 3/4% here in Nevada. And if they don't like that, he'll open it up to the card clubs and to the racetracks, which actually operate in metropolitan areas, but they would then pay a 35% tax. What do you think, guys?
Is that a tax on gross?
On winnings.
On winnings.
Yeah.
Well, it pales in comparison to the governor's 1/4% tax on gross that we had here earlier this year.
That's right.
It does?
You know, I think it's interesting he's changing the posture because we're talking $15 billion of revenue you've got to pick up. And he must have faced the stone wall here that says, I've got to find $15 billion. And he may actually drive the competition out of business that will face us. It may actually be quite good for Nevada if he moves that direction. By increasing the tax structure seriously, the option to game in California will not be as attractive to a lot of people as it might be in Nevada. At least
they still make so much money that that's attractive. They're still doing business in Illinois, where one time it was proposed to set, they had a 70% tax on the gross win, and I think that a lot of the other states in the Midwest have mid-20s.
Quite a few people pulled out of that market, though.
Sure, but there are still big companies who do business there.
But they're monopolies, though, I think. Isn't that right, Paul?
But Paul,
I'm not sure whether they're
that's the argument that gaming uses.
It's a little
here.
difficult to drive from Illinois to here as competition. We're not a reasonable substitute for the Illinois market. We're a pretty reasonable substitute.
Yeah, but I want to get this tax clear. Just a minute. Here in Nevada, we charge 6 3/4% off the win. Right, off of what they win. They get to subtract, so it's a net. What they're proposing in California is a 25% tax on the win. Now, you said earlier, 1/4% that the governor had proposed, the 1/4% tax on the hotels, because it was never on the gaming.
But that was the gross, I think.
Was on the gross. That would have been much larger than even 25% of the win?
Well, when you have certain businesses, you look at the profit margin in the gaming industry, and it's much larger than that of a grocery store or a car dealership, who have profit margins at about 1, maybe 2% on the top side. So when you take a look at what you're actually, if you make if your gross receipts are $5 million, and you're only making about 1 to 2% on that, and you're taxed 1/4%, that's huge.
Okay.
Well, no matter what you say, though, I mean, when the governor says in California, when he says we're going to tax you 25 or 35% on your gross win, or we're going to open it up, I think that's what he's saying. I mean, that's a way to bring people to their knees in a hurry.
All right. Now, one theory is that if they do move ahead with this, that Northern Nevada in particular can be hurt by this, that people will stay in the urban areas there to gamble in the card clubs, etc.
Well, I think, making it available in the urban areas will make it at least a substitute to us. But I think if you keep raising the tax structure, first of all, the facilities won't be as attractive because the profit rate isn't as high. The experience, and hopefully Nevada provides an experience as well as gaming, and I think we've been doing better at that.
Well, and also you're going to go back to the old theme here. You're going to expand the market because more people who have never been involved in any kind of gaming product will be exposed to the product, will end up liking the product. I think that the big deal here continues to be that we are going to lose that weekday traveler who comes up over the hill on a bus or whatever, because he doesn't need to do that. But we have to build up the convention areas, we have to build up special events, we have to build up whatever we need to so that this is a 365-day-a-year place worth coming to. And if we don't market that, that's where we have the problem.
Well, I couldn't agree with that more.
I agree as
California,
well.
California,
Yeah.
the more common gaming gets in California, the next argument in California says, why don't we just legalize it statewide? And then we're really in trouble for those casual gamblers who don't come here for another purpose.
There's also another argument, though, is that gaming costs a lot of money. You know, there's a lot of societal costs that go along with the gaming industry, and maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger sees that and wants the industry that causes those societal, I'm not going to say it, I'm trying to think of a word other than problems. Challenges, thank you.
Challenges.
That causes those societal challenges to actually pay for some of them.
Okay, just quickly, because we're running out of time here, but we look at a water shortage, a possible power shortage. What about this? Sierra Pacific's looking for a new line up here, right, Bob?
I think they're always
15
looking
seconds.
for that. But I have not heard that there's going to be a power shortage. And I heard what Pete said this morning about water, but I have not heard that there's going to be a power shortage.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Andy, thank you. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch. Atlantis.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, it's going to be very interesting to have the Chancellor come on the program and give us her version of all the things that have occurred here. I just find it just incredibly frustrating that these two people were fired from their positions without being given the chance to be in the room and offer their side or even hear the accusations against them.
Well, and again, of course, you know how I feel about the open meeting law. I mean, that's for the public, and can't believe that they violate it in so many ways, and already there's been complaints filed.
Well, and they say that it's a personnel issue, so therefore it can't be closed.
But there's rules for it, and they didn't follow those rules. Guess what's happening tomorrow?
I don't know.
We're going to the dogs.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Nevada Newsmakers. And don't forget, you can hear all 4 shows on Sundays on KOH from 9 to 11 a.m.